I kind of want to give you a state of the state as it's related to Dell Technologies. In September, actually September 7th of this year, will mark the 1-year anniversary of Dell and EMC coming together in what was effectively a $60 billion merger between and created the combination of essentially 7 companies under the banner led by Michael Dell of Dell Technologies. And Michael has really focused on assembling this portfolio of companies to focus on building the infrastructure company for the next industrial revolution. And I'm excited to tell you a little bit about our strategies, but I want to first share a little bit about who we are today. So we're the world's largest privately controlled technology company at $74 billion of revenue, serving 98% of the Fortune 500, and actually 95% of Fortune's most admired companies are our customers. About 140,000 members, employees in the organization, an incredible greater than $15 billion services business, which is backed by a worldwide partner community of which Ahead is a part of, with 30,000 service professionals covering 180 countries. Our vision here is that we can serve our customers and our partners better by being an organization that you can meet, deliver all technologies in one place. Another powerful thing about the portfolio of technologies is that we're actually in the leaders quadrant for Gartner in over 15 different Magic Quadrant reports. From a leadership perspective in market, and this is actually how Michael judges us as business leaders. What are we doing in the market in comparison to our competition? Number 1 in Converged, number 1 in storage, number 1 in a host of things. And what's interesting is in the PC business has continued to grow with 16 consecutive quarters of growth tracking back to Q4 2016. Really excited about some of the virtual reality, some of the augmented reality, and some of the gaming technologies that we have in our portfolio with Alienware, and some of the very interesting immersive technologies that are coming from display technologies, et cetera, as a part of our organization. I want to talk to you about how technology is changing. Had a conversation just a moment backstage about a customer of ours who is going to share with you some of the transformative journey that they have experienced in their navigation of this changing state. Some interesting facts that are on this slide. 80% of employees today telecommute. I happen to be one of those employees. I spend more time in an aircraft than I do in an office, but I spend a lot of time at home as my office when I can be at home. Interesting thing about this presentation is the average attention span of a human is 8 minutes. That means I've only got a few more minutes left of you paying any attention to me. I think more interesting about this slide is the 1 million plus of attacks launched on a daily basis against the technological infrastructure that runs the world's economy. An amazing 90% of the data that is in existence today has been produced in the last 2 years. That is going to exponentially increase as we talk about integrating a multitude of sensors in IoT-based technologies. So what we're trying to say at Dell is the business agenda is technology. IT is a competitive advantage. How fast can you go? Technology barriers are basically non-existent today. 5 years ago, there were things that we couldn't do. Today, there are actually things that we can do. We spend more time trying to convince customers to do them as opposed to them actually implementing them. And software DNA in everything that you do is vital to your strategy. Michael will tell, and I will say, that we believe that every company of the future will be a software company first. We believe to be the infrastructure company of the next industrial, the infrastructure company of the next industrial revolution, our core intellectual property must reside in software. So we did a study of IT executives in that community of Dell Technologies customers. And the study was, digital transformation is coming. Where do you see yourselves on this spectrum, and what is your agreement with that direction? And so the interesting part there's a lot of people that are just on the early stages of the journey. But the more important statistic that we saw out of it was that 3/4, essentially, of the executives that we interviewed said that businesses need to prioritize their technology strategy in ways that they haven't thought of before. We want to innovate faster, or we want to move faster, and we want to drive out costs. Now, a lot of people will say that, well, if I'm going to innovate and I'm going to move faster, how can we simultaneously drive out costs? This is where there is an enormous amount of process and technology debt in the world's companies. There is so much legacy technology that are powering our businesses, and more importantly, technology processes that are powering how we operate our businesses. And so what we're focusing on with our customers is helping them make that digital transformation and becoming a company who can implement processes for a modern environment and technology that is suited to be able to enable you to move faster and drive out those costs. Use an example here. Everybody's heard about the automobile industry and some of the changes that are occurring in it. Statistics are pretty well known. A lot of accidents are caused by people and not the cars themselves. So 94% is human error, 3% is actually mechanical related error, and the variance in that is that you couldn't determine, was it a mechanical error or was it a human error. The world is increasing the number of automobiles that we have, and the chaos is only going to get worse. 2010, there were 40 vehicles per 1,000 people. On my drive-in from O'Hare today, I got to experience this new number of 310 vehicles per 1,000 people that happens to embody just getting into Chicago. And so the interesting thing about the investments that are being made in the self-driving car are about taking a network organism awareness, using sensors on that device within the car and between cars to introduce automation. In 2 million miles driven, there's been one at-fault accident. And even that was debatable based on the dialogue with the manufacturer. I have personally visited and witnessed some of the direction that many of the companies that are on this slide are pursuing. But what's interesting is the automobile industry is identifying the fact that to solve the problems that are of the scale and complexity that are encountering the roads of our future, we must give up human control and we must allow software to run those systems. Now, government regulation and any number of things will prevent us from achieving this goal immediately, and time to marinate these technologies are good. But it's instructive as we think about how we run our IT environments today. The application ecosystems are becoming more complex. You used to build IT infrastructure starting at app by infrastructure to support it and operate that environment as a silo. Today, you acquire an application ecosystem, you acquire an infrastructure to support that ecosystem, and you look to drive standards across it, whether you build it yourself or whether you acquire the technology pre-built for you. What we are trying to do is to get customers to embrace IT transformation, where we reduce this complexity, we drive simplicity in the consumption of infrastructure so we can create cloud operating models to enable organizations to do the business of the future. We talk about IT transformation in this space, going from digital transformation, which is about the software intellectual property and the DNA of how you operate and run your business, to IT transformation to host that digital transformation environment. And the interesting thing about the mega clouds that are available today, the Amazons, the Azures, any cloud strategy that anyone is implementing, if they're 100% into on-prem or 100% into off-premise, we believe you have a strategy to fail. We believe the right strategy is a balance of investments with on-prem technologies and off-prem technologies. The interesting thing about the mega clouds of today is they've done three things for you. They have transformed the economics of technology consumption. They have simplified how you run and operate the infrastructure. And they have brought convenience on steroids to you. So we look to modernize data centers to bring that simplicity, automate the service delivery of those infrastructures to bring convenience, and to transform IT operations through new consumption models, new economic methods, as well as driving out costs will transform the economics of the on-premise infrastructure investments. How we're doing this is essentially our building blocks of our strategy. As you well know, we're a server, storage, and network company. We have one of the world's best virtualization assets in VMware. We have a host of orchestration technologies that are critical. We look to package that into platforms to function and operate to support the applications of our customers and partners around the world. Effectively, there is an enormous amount of complexity in this pyramid. As you get down to the bottom of the pyramid and you think about integrating all of these technologies, the complexity gets infinitely greater. And so what we look is to identify methodologies for us to package infrastructure in a means where integration is predetermined, standards are set, there are predictive algorithms that allow you to run the infrastructure in a manner that is best suited to support your business. We simultaneously look to deploy cloud operating models. And again, I said it before, but I'll say it again. We do not believe that cloud is a destination. It is an operating methodology. And so you should be able to operate cloud on an on-premise infrastructure simultaneous with an off-premise infrastructure, and there should be some hybridity in that to be able to operate both simultaneously, all adapted to support your applications. In the Dell EMC portfolio, when we talk about infrastructure, this is where we're talking about modernizing infrastructure. Our M&O technologies and strategies and the ecosystem of partnerships that we're building there are all about enabling this cloud operating model for consumption for our customers and partners. When you bring these two things together, we believe it truly enables you to transform IT operations. But the fallacy in this is organizations who don't commit to process change and elimination of technology debt will not benefit from this new paradigm. And so we are very focused on evangelizing the fact that you have to embrace the change and eliminate the process debt and eliminate the technology debt to be able to do this. So the attributes of a modern infrastructure are flash. We've talked about flash storage for a number of years. EMC committed to it early on when it was operating as an independent company. I'm excited this year to see the 14th generation of Dell servers be released and have 40% of their configurations be NVMe based. Imagine the power of going from a solid state disk in a server that supports around 5,000 IOPS to an NVMe based disk that supports 300,000 IOPS. Orders of magnitude of performance improvement. Imagine utilizing that technology in different aggregate memory technologies, et cetera. We're excited to bring that type of modern infrastructure to our customers. Attributes of this that are also important is being software defined. The logical configuration of how you configure the profile and attributes of how it functions to be done in software programmatically. To trust those configurations and have those configurations be in compliance with the standards that not only a regulatory body instructs you to conform to, but how you interpret your obligations to a regulatory body. And probably one of the most important things is being able to scale out and also scale in. There are many times that as an application matures in an organization, the underlying infrastructure that's running on it does not adapt to the state of change that the application requires as the user community grows. Simultaneous, there are applications which retire, which we dedicate an enormous amount of real estate that goes utilized but is not useful. So enabling methodologies that are easy to automate the service delivery of shrinking infrastructure when the application landscape shrinks beneath it. Our converged and hyperconverged portfolio are designed to deliver that type of functionality out of the box. It's one of the things that I represent as the Chief Technology Officer of Dell EMC's Converged division, and we're very excited about the transformative benefits that these technologies offer our customers. I will also say that simultaneous to that, there are customers that don't want to buy pre-configured outcomes. They want to buy servers, they want to buy storage, and they want to buy networking independently. We have introduced and expanded our portfolio to a grouping of technologies that we call Dell EMC Ready Solutions. Same predetermined attributes that you get in our converged and hyperconverged portfolio. The difference is that we are expanding the standard boundary to give you more control of the choices that you make within the components. So now we engage in a dialogue, is a pre-configured outcome a better solution for this use case in your environment? Is a non-pre-configured outcome with prescriptive guidance a better one for you? This is what the Dell EMC Ready Solutions portfolio is about. Now, when we talk about automating service delivery, there are things that we are doing in software in the Converged division that enable the systems that we build to be programmatically API-driven, that in turn enables them to be orchestrated as a system. There is so much complexity riddled in management and orchestration applications today and how they interact with individual devices. And when you communicate with one device, there is a dependency applied to yet another. Imagine a world where you're communicating to an API that's a system API for the entire configured entity. So when you instruct a certain configuration algorithm that has a dependency downstream, that you enable that to happen in concert, and you aren't relying upon intelligent human brains to figure that out. You're relying on the system to provide that intelligent human feedback so they can be more productive. What we have done is we've began to package these automation technologies in off-the-shelf software that you can acquire and consume, combined with intellectual property, real software that we're building to enable this automation to be realized out of the box. So we build software, partnered with Dell Technologies, strategically aligned businesses to enable the consumption to be better. Two examples here are VMware vRealize and Pivotal Cloud Foundry. Both exist to support two different paradigms. One is a more virtualization-based, hypervisor, traditional OS application relationship. The other is more of a cloud-native architecture. You may have heard some of the branded terms that we've positioned as being enterprise hybrid cloud, being that ability to deliver a hybrid cloud technology to support the apps that you run in your virtual environment today, and then simultaneously offer the native hybrid cloud, which is built around Cloud Foundry to be the easiest methodology to deploy Cloud Foundry out of the box with operational tools to be able to run that environment and essentially have a developer portal on-premise with off-premise extensions ready in moments from the time that it arrives in your facilities. These attributes are all, again, what we talk about transforming IT. When you bring in the partnerships that we have with organizations like Ahead, bring in the services capability that they bring to bear, the incredible intellect and knowledge that they have in positioning the right technologies for you as customers, and also bring together the might of Dell Financial Services to offer different methodologies for consumption, both for our partners and for you enables new economic models to be realized to be able to deploy these types of environments that we describe. So as I close, I want to share with you that our focus on the future is about building innovative hardware and software that are combined and integrated together as systems, but still giving you the autonomy and the flexibility to operate those devices independently. We want to create new levels of simplicity and convenience and to change the economics of the modern data center. And so with that, I will leave you with an extra 4 minutes, and thank you very much for having me. I appreciate the time.